Here are the steps to turn one of our top blanks. We're going to use a collet that's got a 5/16 inch hole in it, and we put that through the headstock. Then we have a knob and a washer that goes on the other end. The knob is used to tighten the collet. We'll put the collet in place. Then the top blank, this is a finished surface here, and the person turning it's only going to turn this top on the front surface. So we'll put that in the collet so that this surface here is well supported up against the collet. We'll tighten the collet, and you can tighten it by sticking the knockout bar into the headstock and tightening it. So we've got the blank really rigidly in place. Then to turn it, we're going to use a spindle gouge and put the bevel against this surface right here, and this just kind of scoop across. So it's an easy cut to make for a new turner. Just a bevel against this surface, and then just a few passes across the front, and it quickly will become a top. So this is finished now. All the turning is done. We'll use some sandpaper at this point. We have 2 grits. The green is 120 grit and the yellow is 220. So we'll start with the 120, get the tool rest out of the way. We'll sand it a little bit on the back side, around the edges, and across the front. We'll turn the speed a little bit down a little bit so it's not, the sandpaper doesn't get quite so hot. After we get that sanded with the 120, we'll smooth it out a little bit with the 220. Then once we get it sanded, the next step is to choose a couple of colors. We'll move the tool rest so it's about 2.5 inches away. And then we'll select a couple of felt tip colors here. We'll take the orange and the green. Then you can brace your hand against the tool rest here, and with the tip pointing down below the center, you can add some color. Add a little orange here. We'll add some green. And we can do the same thing on the back side. We can add a little bit of color there. After we add the color, we'll take some wax and wax the surface to lock in the color. I'm going to use just some paraffin wax, because we're going to use just a light coat of wax here to that's mainly to keep the color from bleeding out when we go to the buffing wheel. After we'll let the person that made it use one of these small cloths. They're small so they can't wrap it around their finger. Speed the lathe up here a little now. That will melt the wax here. We'll melt it on the back side. Doesn't take much wax. If you add a little bit too much wax, it takes a while to get it all off. So now that's nicely waxed with paraffin. Then we can unscrew the knob, tap it a little bit with a wooden mallet. The top is ready to come out. And there we've got the top pretty much finished there. At this point it's optional to take it to a buffing wheel and buff it a bit so this surface really shines up. We have a lathe set up here with a buffing wheel. We'll use a little bit of carnauba wax to charge the buffing wheel, and then we'll take the top and put it in a collet with a handle here and tighten it up. If we try to hold it in your hand, the buffing wheel is likely to pull it out of your hand and throw it to the floor and break the top, and we don't want that to happen. So we'll use this handle to buff up this top a little bit. It'll give it a bright shine. And the wax that we put on there, the paraffin wax, holds the color in so it doesn't come off on the buffing wheel. We can buff the back side of the top of it. So there we end up with a nice shiny buff surface. We loosen the knob and use a wooden mallet to give it a blow. We can take the top off, and that's the completed top.